Well, that was a movie.
Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and we just saw Nic Cage's new movie, Dream Scenario, which was directed and written by newcomer Christopher Borgli. He's done a couple other things. I'm pretty sure this is his first American film. He's Norwegian. This movie was hard to find a showtime for. It's A24, it's low budget, it's indie, it's artsy, and it's definitely not going to be like a mass appeal movie. But if you're into really indie or artsy weird movies, like think Charlie Kaufman. This had a strong Charlie Kaufman vibe. I know that means a lot to you. Ari Aster produced it.
Of course.
Then this is probably your thing. I will say, biggest complaint that I'm going to get out of the way immediately, and then we'll talk mostly about how we like this movie, because I think we both did,
Very much.
was it felt like there was a half hour of this movie that didn't need to be in it. I think I mentioned this in a previous review I did, maybe not, but I was like looking forward to this. Like, Nic Cage is usually like in this category of like he's so bad he's good, but sometimes he actually is amazing depending on the role.
Yeah.
Adaptation in my mind was like his best performance. This may be his new best performance. I thought he was phenomenal.
Oh, he was definitely great in this one. I never really doubt Nic Cage when you let him get a little weird.
Yeah.
You let him get an interesting script there. I never really have much doubt in him. I mean, that always just draws me into this movie anyway.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like his character is weird. And so it allows him to do some of these quirky, overacting things, but it makes sense. Like in it, at one point, he's like recording a video of himself like crying. And in the moment, I'm like, is he acting badly right now? And then all of the other characters react to him like, what the hell are you doing? And you're like, okay, so this is an intentional choice.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for this role. This guy was so quirky, so awkward. And Nic Cage just nailed it. Like I said, this may be his new best performance ever. Like, an adaptation's phenomenal. I think he was like nominated for that movie or something. He was phenomenal in this. I really enjoyed him in this. The whole cast was fantastic in my mind. I don't think there was a weak point in them. Also, the writing, like the character development, mainly done by the writing, but the performances really all worked together, that nothing felt wrong. Everything felt real. It all felt great. It was just, I loved it.
No, I very much liked it as well. It was very interesting seeing, well, I mean, everybody, if you've seen the trailer, you know the premise. See, he's appearing in people's dreams all over.
Right.
And how they were cutting between various people's dreams, how the explanations, the various scenarios, and the key similarities between them at first is very, very interesting to me.
Like, there's things that are mentioned and then called back to later a couple times, and I thought they were cleverly done. I also want to say, like, it sounds like just like you're hitting buzzwords when you talk about everything good with this movie, but like the editing was phenomenal. Even like the cinematography was great. Everything. I was just like, this is a masterpiece, at least for the first hour or so of it. Like I was saying, I felt like it got a little bit weaker as it went, but like I remember there was a conversation early on in the movie where we're supposed to feel uncomfortable, and the cinematography was like, it was normal until we're supposed to feel weird, and then it switched to this odd angle of we're like looking up at these characters now, and now we just feel like small and confused, and once again there's editing with like he's having this interaction with somebody at a bar, and he's walking away from her to go get a drink, and there's like 5 cuts in 1 second, because it's like showing her, then showing him, then he looks back, and then it's back to her, and then it's back to him, and it's all these different angles, and it's just rapid fire, really clever, really just, it works so well to make you feel uncomfortable and feel how he feels. And it's all the writing, the editing, and the directing working together along with the performances was just it made my jaw drop. I was so impressed by the filmmaking quality of this movie. I know A24 and these indie products, you usually find people like really hungry to make something good, original, and artsy, but it really was. And I know when I saw The Holdovers a couple weeks ago, I was like, best movie of the year. I love that movie. And then I walked out of this, I was like, well,
Time to rework that.
This is in strong contention, and maybe it will end up being cost by, like I said, that half hour or so where I was like, okay, I'm a little bit bored. That may stop it from being my favorite movie of the year, but it's definitely, I'm still gonna be considering it for movie of the year, for me at least. I loved it. I really did.
I'd have to actually look back at the movies in the year for me, because I haven't seen a lot of terribly strong contenders for like my best movie of the year.
Yeah.
So this could really get right up there.
Yeah, actually, let's think about it, because all of my favorite movies of the year, I don't think you saw with me, other than this one, because you didn't see The Holdovers with me, you didn't see Air with me, you didn't see Barbie with me, like that. You didn't see any of the great movies with me this year. Actually, now I think about it,
I almost saw Barbenheimer, but then my friends chickened out of the Barbie part and just went for Oppenheimer.
I think yeah, this is terrible. The dream scenarios in this, you get it? Because that's the name of the movie.
Ooh.
The scenarios that they came up with, you know, like a lot of them are flashed in the trailer and stuff if you've seen it. And so I kind of was like expecting it to be a little bit boring to go through all of that again, but they were exciting. They were really original and creative. And there was one in particular, I think it was the first one they showed. Well, I guess the opening is a dream, but spoiler. But when he first starts talking to people about having dreams about him, he asks them what they are, and then they rapid fire go off. And the first one is, I don't want to spoil anything yet, but to remind you, it's the one in the field.
Okay, yeah.
That, to me, I was just like, because that wasn't in any of the trailers. I don't think they used any of the shots of that in the trailer. And that felt the most like a dream to me of any of those. And they're all very realistic, like so weird and just off by a little bit.
No, everyone seemed like a very strange scenario for everyday life, but somehow possible. And I agree, that one felt the most unrealistic.
It felt the most like a dream, though, where it's like you're in a scenario that it seems perfectly normal when you're dreaming, and then when you go to explain it, you're like, why was any of this happening?
Yeah, I remember them saying, for some reason, I've had a few things about the dream,
Yeah, and so that was the moment, like, I mean, I enjoyed the movie up until that point, but I felt like that was the point in the movie that I locked in and was like, all right, we're, like, in for a treat. This movie is going to be phenomenal. And, like I said, I keep saying, but it really was. Like, it's rare that you come across movies that feel this well made. You know, like everybody was carrying their weight. There's a lot of original movies, but like I said, they're typically indie, low budget stuff, and this was. But typically with indie and low budget, there's some drawbacks. Yeah. And I didn't feel like there were any in this. There weren't any moments where I was like, man, I wish they had more money to do that better, or I wish that they had bigger talent involved in this. No, it was good.
No, I mean, nothing about this movie really required some huge budget. There's a lot of different scenarios, but I'm sure they could do that with very few locations and a couple of props. Yeah. But like, it kept itself grounded in that way, and I think that helped make it a much better product. I could see people getting a little too out there with their indie movies, too little pretentious, because, you know, with the lower budget, you get to experiment some. No one's going to let you make your $200 million movie and get experimental with it.
Yeah. Unless you're Nolan. Yeah. People don't let you do that.
Listen, if you have a name that just gets people to the movie, no matter if they know the plot, you can do that. I want
to say also, so as far as the story goes, I feel like there was some commentary going on too, but I don't know that the movie being good is reliant on your interpretation of any sort of commentary. I think you can just take it for like at face value and enjoy it just as much as if you're rooting into some sort of allegory. Did you pick up on an allegory, or did you just feel like it was...
I definitely picked up on some parts. I feel like I'm missing some connecting pieces in it, but I especially when we get to spoilers, I'll definitely talk more about it. I definitely felt some sort of analogy to a lot of situations in modern life today.
Analogy,
yeah. Screw me.
I wonder if there was a deeper meaning, or if I'm just searching for one in the absurdity. I don't know which it is.
A couple of moments made me really feel like it was.
There was.
It made me think about some things that have happened over the last, like, 5 to 10 years with some people.
And this isn't a spoiler because it's clearly there in the trailer, but it has a lot to do with unwanted fame and attention.
Yeah.
And what that does to people. The ending is very intriguing to me. I feel like that kind of contradicted some of my theories, but maybe it didn't. I don't know. Like you said, we'll talk about it more in spoilers. It was a very interesting story regardless of if there's meaning or not. Sometimes I look for meaning in things that don't need it. And if you just go into this and I want to pass time with a fun artsy movie, this movie doesn't require you having some deep understanding of it to enjoy it. It is just fully enjoyable at face value. So I think we're ready for spoilers, unless you got anything else.
No, sounds good.
Like I said, I fully recommend it. To me, it did drag a little bit in that like third act, where I was like, it almost felt like it didn't know how to finish. To me, like it was like it felt like to me that it had finished, and then it kept going and was searching for something else to say.
Yeah,
that's how I felt. Didn't ruin it for me. Like I said, kind of took it down a peg. Like I was ready to give it like an 8.5 the whole time. Now I'm closer to like a 7.5. But I still, obviously, 7.5 is very good. I enjoyed it a lot. What would you rate it? Do you have a rating ready?
11.
11.
Fine. I'll go 8 then. I'll be stingy.
Yeah, recommend it. If you've already seen it, let us know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Also, don't forget to like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye. So, spoilers. Yeah. I liked the arc, the story arc of all the dreams are really good, all this fame thing is really good, and then it slowly turns back and everything becomes bad.
Right.
And I thought that felt like a complete arc, and then it kept going, and I was like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, it was a little interesting. I wasn't sure how they were going to land it at the end.
I don't know that they did land it.
I don't know if it would just made no sense sometimes, or I'm just missing stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was fairly confused, but I kind of understood elements of the ending and not really the whole thing, with the introduction of the dream product, whatever the heck the little device was called.
Yeah, so for me, like I said, I was in love with this movie. Like I was saying in the beginning, it reminded me a lot of Charlie Kaufman, who's one of my favorite writers in Hollywood, probably my favorite writer in Hollywood right now, and a great director. And this felt like one of his movies until they introduced that product. And for those of you who haven't seen it and are watching the spoilers anyway, you rebels, it's this weird, quirky, very A24 artsy movie about this odd situation, and then all of a sudden it turns into like a comedy for a little bit there, where it kind of felt like an SNL sketch about like this product that allows people to go into other people's dreams, and they're now using it for advertising. And that made me laugh. It's a funny idea. It just felt so out of place. Honestly,
I thought it was going to be the company at the end, but it really did feel out of place. It's not nearly as extreme as these, but it kind of reminds me of like a Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah, but that made sense.
Far less extreme. Yeah, no, this was out of nowhere, but it was.
Sorry to Bother You is flawless. I love that movie.
Oh, I love that movie too.
I didn't know you'd ever seen it. A great movie.
Oh yeah, of course. But you have to admit, the ending was wild.
Yes, but it made sense. It was a metaphor that like.
And I'm not saying it didn't make sense. I'm just saying this was kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah. No horse people.
They definitely did it better. But this is kind of out of very left field.
Yeah, it's a very different. You're right. It's very different, but still a similar effect of, wait, where are we going?
Yeah.
And it just kind of takes you by surprise, especially when it's like it felt like the movie was wrapping up, and then it's like, but we're not. We're gonna do this product thing for a while, and I hate to say, I wish like that part wasn't in the movie, because it led to the last scene, which was like my favorite scene in the whole movie. I was gonna say, actually, there's no way to get there without the product, but we could have, if we're not gonna explain anything, we could have just had him appear in her dream finally, and it's the first time he was in her dream, because all this time he wasn't.
Yeah.
And that could have been the one time he finally was, and we're asking the question of how did this happen already anyway, so it could have just been tacked onto that. That's what they should have done. It was like they had too many good ideas that they were trying to cram into this. Like, the idea of that product was hilarious.
Yeah.
But it should have been a one-off scene that they never addressed again. And so when they did it and then went on for another 2-3 scenes with it, I was like, okay, enough. I'm done with this.
Yeah, and then you get to see them using it for a little while, and they have to cut to all the little product placement that they had talked about in the little the socialite
he's got the sneakers and then the
promo thing,
the protein powder, which, I mean, once again, it's funny.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it in this movie.
I felt like a lot of that section wasn't needed just to get to the point where he appears in her dream and they get to share the dream together.
Yeah, and he's wearing the suit that she, like the costume that they referenced earlier that she was oddly attracted to. And like that scene was so beautiful. And I was like, thank God. And like, so I was starting to think, oh, so now we're going to go on like a series of him redeeming himself by going to people's dreams and saving them. But then the movie ended.
No. When that happened, I knew that was the ending. I knew it was coming soon. I did expect it to end very differently than the product. But when it was him and her dream, I knew that was the ending.
I did like this movie a lot, but it just, I felt like that, I don't know if it was a half hour, but however long that section was.
I think it was like 15, 20 minutes.
I wanted it gone. Like they had the whole thing about him with the book signing, and I was just like, I don't need this.
No, actually, that was longer than that.
I didn't need any of that. I
completely forgot about the book signing
parts.
It was
so unnecessary. Like, and I get it. Like, I think they were just trying to further show how much his life fell apart.
Yeah.
I think that's the point of the movie, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. But like, we already saw that his life sucked. We didn't need more of that. And I feel like we could have just taken that out. But I guess it helped pay off him appearing in her dream more. I guess I'm closer to indifferent than hating it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm just kind of indifferent, and it's like that indifferent is a disappointment after how amazing the rest of the movie was.
Yeah. No, I don't hate it. It definitely didn't need to all be there.
Yeah. And how long was the movie? Because it definitely felt too long.
Hour and 45, I think. I checked earlier.
Yeah, it wasn't like that long, but like that pacing was terrible right then. And I was just like, we referenced the people talking at full volume behind us going, man, I thought this movie should have ended already. And I'm like, shut up, first of all. But you're kind of right. You are.
like just the little device, the little commercial with the influencers. I thought that could have just been a very funny one-off gag. I really thought it was going to be the company that he was working with the whole time, and then we were just going to go to him maybe using the device for the dream part. But all the rest of it really didn't need to happen. It just kind of dragged that last scene that clearly, once you see him use it, they're getting to.
And once again, it's funny.
Yeah.
But it just felt out of place. And we're nitpicking, I think, because it's like...
We were literally just talking about, like, the last, I guess maybe it is a half hour of the movie.
Something like that, yeah. Where it's like... But the reason it bothers me is because the movie was, like, flawless up until that point. And then so you're just a little disappointed that a movie wasn't, perfect. Yeah, I don't know. I love the dialogue of this movie, though. It was very realistic. I love the whole part, especially like the relationship between Nicolas Cage and his wife in the movie felt so real and genuine to me. Like when his ex-girlfriend comes up to him and she's kind of like making weird faces but not saying anything, and then they talk about it later. And I loved so many of like the acting quirks that these people brought. Like Nicolas Cage is getting ready to meet this old friend from college that apparently he claims stole from him in her paper that she wrote. And so he's sitting at the table and he's practicing this thing where he's going to be like, hey, how you doing? And the way he shakes his head is really funny. And so I noticed it. And then when she comes in, he does it exactly that way. And then later in the movie, when they go to the guy's dinner, he walks in and he does it exactly the same way again. So it like implies he was practicing that moment too. And it's like, those are the little tiny acting quirks that are phenomenal. And I don't know how much of that's like the actor's choice versus the writing or the directing. But regardless, it all came together so perfectly, and I loved that. When Nicolas Cage is good, he's amazing. It's so bizarre.
I'm telling you, I don't know. He just needs solidly written, quirky roles. And just let him do what he wants to do, and he'll probably give a good performance out of it. How's the rest of your movie? I don't know, but you let him do his thing.
Yeah, it's funny because I mentioned like I was comparing this to adaptation. I just remembered that's a Charlie Kaufman movie. And I was comparing this to Charlie Kaufman. And so, there you go. Yeah. We just need a Charlie Kaufman-like writer to write for him, and he'll be great. That's all you need. Too bad there's only one Charlie Kaufman in the world, but...
Hey man, maybe you just pair the two together and they never separate.
Dude, okay. So I have to reference it. Because I've said many times how much I despise fart jokes. But when they're done right.
Oh my gosh, that was great.
When they're done right, they are funny.
That was a legendary
And that scene was perfect because it had the right amount of like tension, both thriller tension and sexual tension, to then be cut by these moments of comedy. So it's like first he's standing in the corner and then it like cuts to like the nightmare version, but then it's cut by him going like, okay, and then she's like, shut up. And then like he's got this building moment and then he farts, and it's just, and I'm not explaining that well because like if you don't like fart humor like me, that explanation that I just gave wouldn't tell you it's funny. But trust me, as somebody who hates fart humor, it worked. It did. It really made me laugh.
Oh no, it was absolutely hilarious. Because I never in a million, I wouldn't have guessed the fart.
No.
Right there.
No.
This is not the movie. At least, especially at that point, because they had never done the whole product thing at the end. I would have never guessed some out of nowhere farts into premature ejaculation into farting again.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, because it's definitely a funny movie, but it's so natural.
Yeah.
Like the comedy always makes sense, and I think that's why the fart worked so well. Is like that's a scenario you could see yourself in.
It could happen to anyone.
Yeah. Not me.
Hopefully not the
not
other.
Me.
I don't
like
even,
somebody else.
The fart part is fine. You know, maybe you don't want to premature ejaculate and fart again. Twice is a little much. Come on.
But yeah, like also I was mentioning that conversation he was having with his wife. It is about their relationship and it's really good, but it's also funny because she's like telling him her fantasy and then he like laughs at it because it's goofy, and then she's like, all right, shut up, and then it becomes heartwarming because he's like, no, okay, I'll go along with it, that's what you said, that's what we'll do. And so just the characters felt so real, the writing was so genuine, the acting was phenomenal. You couldn't point to a single actor in this movie that felt out of place. Like, man, everybody's good except fill in the blank. They were all perfect.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's talk about the philosophy, if there is any, of this movie. My takeaway, which I'll start with the most basic part, is unwanted attention is a bad thing, and it seems good at first, like when you being famous and all this seems like a good thing, and then it goes bad, and then it can in some cases go so bad that it ruins your entire life. And there will still be some aspects of good in it, like you saw he got the book deal. Didn't come how he wanted, but he did get it. He was signing autographs. I mean, people wanted to have sex with him. There was some positives here.
He got what he wanted.
Yeah, like he got what he wanted.
Just not how he wanted it.
But not how he wanted it, and when he had it, he realized he actually just wanted his old life.
Yeah.
And so I felt like the movie was trying to say, there's nothing wrong with just being ordinary, just being a normal, forgettable person.
Yeah.
And I know that's a kind of a mean way to say us, everybody. We're all just normal, forgettable people, but that's true. After, wow, getting morbid. After we die, nobody's gonna care after a couple generations because we didn't do anything lasting or whatever. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. And this whole movie, his character is so insecure. He's always like, even at the height of like all the good things happening, he was just bothered by like, well, so I'm not memorable in your dream? I'm just there? I'm not doing anything?
I'm just some inactive asshole over here?
I'm not helping. I'm just observing.
I'm passive?
What is that? I also loved in this scene when he says, was I in anybody's dream doing actually anything?
Oh,
and the one guy started to raise his hand.
He's just kind of like half
raised, but he didn't notice him, and so then he's like, okay, well, who else had a dream? And then he's like, oh, okay, yeah. So I thought that was good. Like, once again, just very realistic things, even in the small, tiny details. But yeah, anyway, so the philosophy, going back to that, he's so concerned about being memorable, being liked, being something, and he realizes by the end of it that he didn't want any of that. He just wanted what he had, which was actually pretty good. Being in just a normal job with a normal wife, a giant fucking house, and and some kids.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like the pretty basic philosophy of this movie. I think that's pretty much understood. I don't think we're reaching or grasping for straws at that point. I think that there's some more commentary you could try and take out of it, and I don't know if it's actually meant to be there or not. I don't know. What were you thinking?
At certain points, because it doesn't fully work because of some of the unwanted attention part that I do agree with. Because as much as he loved the attention, it starts out with the dream, so it doesn't. You never really get to see any point before that.
Yeah.
It felt like somewhat of a commentary on the social media influencer cycle, almost. Because
with the immediate rise and then cancellation.
Yeah, and then the apology video, the fake apology video.
Yeah.
It felt like the fake videos I've seen from YouTubers when I watch like people react to the drama videos, and just like they get themselves to cry. They talk about how it's all about them and how they're the victim and how their actions have affected them the most.
Yeah.
And it felt exactly like that.
Because how I took it, and this doesn't negate what you said, and what you said doesn't negate what I'm about to say, but because my reaction was thinking like, why you don't want to be in the public eye is because the public eye is so finicky.
Yeah.
And so if you are getting high off of them saying you're great, you'll also get really low off them saying you're bad. And so I think that was a point too, where, and like I said, that doesn't contradict your point at all.
No, that's the cycle for a lot of the social media influencers, because it's very few people that can survive controversies, get famous, make the apology video, and come back. Most people, they get that controversy and then their fan base goes away. They start to be forgotten, and maybe they have to do controversial things. Maybe they have a cult following like he had at the end, but they really just fade into obscurity or try to chase the fame as much as they can. Yeah,
and even if the controversy is unwarranted, like even if you didn't do anything wrong, it can just happen. And so I agree with that. That's a good point. I think I was just more thinking of it like on a base level than on a specific, I was thinking more widespread with like the just fame in general. But I think
because the unwarranted part or unwanted attention part, I see what you're saying there, and I definitely agree with you. In some certain aspects of it, just the rise, the negativity turn, the outrage video, and the apology just felt like a bunch of cycles I've seen with some social media influencers.
What was funny in the trailer you saw the car where somebody had spray painted loser on it. Yeah. I assumed, because they do this a lot in trailers where they CGI a word to make it, PG or whatever for the trailer. Okay. So I was waiting to see what it was going to actually say in the movie. I thought it was going to be like a slur or a swear word or something, and it was just still loser, and I was like, oh, that's lame. Who spray paints loser on a car?
Hey man, college kids are pretty, right?
That part also felt a little bit out of place, I'll admit, because so they went from full fear of this guy to all attacking him in the parking lot. I'm like, I guess fear can make you attack something, but they were running away from him 1 second ago.
Yeah, like none of them showed up, and then they were there. I can see some people antagonizing, especially in a group. You don't fear the lions when you're in the pack of the zebras, like he keeps putting the analogies. But
hold on. Yeah, that's gotta be something. Because like you want to stick out, because he's saying in nature, for the most part, you want to not stick out, but there are times you do for mating. That was the one exception that they brought up. Yeah. But for the most part, if you don't want to be attacked, don't stand out. Just be normal. Just be forgettable.
Pretty much.
I like this movie. I like this movie a lot. At the beginning, I was waiting for an explanation of it, but at the beginning, the first dream is his daughter's dream. Stuff is falling from the sky. Yeah. The first thing that we see fall from the sky that breaks the table is the keys. On the keys is a frog. Like the plague in Egypt with frogs falling from the sky. Okay. Does that have a meaning? It has to have a meaning. What does it mean? And the other things I felt, loafers, random things. Or it's just a dream. But I felt like I was like writing it off as just, it's just a dream, weird things are happening, until I remembered it was a frog that fell. That's significant, because why would you put a frog on a keychain unless it meant something? Okay.
I definitely did not catch that, but I see what you're going with.
Frogs from the sky, it's a plague. An act of God.
Yeah, it was. The dream kind of was.
Yeah. There's no other real explanation for it, which that could be another commentary. It could be a commentary on the meaning of life, because nothing has explanations to it most of the time. Like, nobody has a legitimate reason for why we're here, other than, I don't know, maybe God did it. Yeah. Damn. I want to watch this again now.
Tractor next to the
All right. Except for there's no more showtimes tonight.
Hey.
Oh, okay, wait, no. Somebody had an 11. I did see there was an 11 somewhere. I think that was in Voorhees. Which I'm not driving Voorhees.
No. But yeah, so like even when at the beginning of the dreams where people are he's becoming a social media phenomenon, people are loving being a part of it and being connected to his fame, but all the dreams, and he's very passive in the dreams. That's the theme of the beginning dreams.
Non-consequential.
Is he's standing there while something's happening, but all of the dreams are pretty horrible dreams. They're all basically nightmares. The guy's walking through the field. There's a guy covered in blood chasing him that he gets caught because the guy's looking at him. It's a car accident first. There's stuff falling from the sky, and the girl and his daughter gets sucked up into the sky. The one girl in class is standing on a table with two like alligators or crocodiles in front of him. Every dream is bad, but he's just standing there watching, and none of them care that the dreams are bad until he starts to attack them.
Do you think that is further part of the social media commentary where it's a distraction during the crisis, and that's why people are so attached to it? People enjoy the distraction amongst...
True.
Because, I mean, that's why we love social media so much.
Oh, yeah.
Because the world sucks. And then I was like, oh, look, there's this random thing to look at. And is he adding anything to my life? No.
He's not doing
He's
anything.
just a distraction. He's just there.
And
but it's not this terrible thing that's happening.
And he's keeping us all from really focusing on that.
Shit.
And it's...
I think we're onto something here.
And then there's only really one dream.
Or we're just way off the deep end. One or the other.
It was just weird that every single one of their dreams is basically a nightmare, but none of them are really talking about how, oh, I'm being chased by this bloody guy and it was terrifying. But you were there. Because they're all just so... They're so taken aback by that fact that he's there.
Because even the girl's sex dream was a rape. It was a break-in and rape nightmare that just so happened to also be her fantasy.
She was into it, but it was basically rape, But that was when he started being active, and then
Hold on, I think it's basically rape. I think we should have you on camera saying it was rape.
It was rape.
Justin.
All I remember saying, I'm so wet. I remember those words.
Yeah, but right after she said, no, stop, don't touch me. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Come on, Justin. Don't get us canceled. Not now.
But then, all the dreams, I at first when the bad stuff is happening in these dreams, I thought he might be the cause of it, and maybe that gets revealed later. But the scenarios were so wild, I didn't understand how he could be causing it. Because like one of them is like an earthquake and stuff's falling down around. He's just standing there like, how's he going to cause the earthquake? Where's he bringing these alligators from? How's he didn't seem connected to the bloody guy
it's not
or the car accident.
His fault for the first batch of dreams.
And then he starts actively raping people and actively killing people and people get traumatized by it.
So what's the meaning then that he had a dream about himself attacking him? I wonder what that means.
Yeah, because the apology was definitely fake, but the dream was real. He definitely had a dream where he killed himself. Yeah. Hunted himself.
Which, it's funny because, I don't know about you, I didn't notice the hunter was him until the end.
I thought it was a chance, but I wasn't sure. I either thought it was him or the people that he's been appearing in their dreams. Now they're appearing in his dream to kill him. I thought that might be the angle they were going. Yeah. And then they showed it was him at the end. So.
Yeah, I didn't realize for a while that it was him.
I don't think they showed the face clearly. Yeah. No. Yeah. Because I didn't catch that either until the close-up.
Yeah. And that was like, I mean, you heard me multiple times with the movie. I would just go like, huh, when something really interesting happened. And that was one of them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I still don't know what the meaning of that is. Where it's like, I like our theories we've got going here about, fame and influence and all of that. I don't know what that is, though. Is that just,
Because it's not like it really changed him. It made him a part of the phenomena outside of being the person causing it, but all it did was prompt his fake apology and a further spiraling down.
Yeah. Man.
Until
I don't know. I think if I watch this a second time, I'll forgive that half hour more. See, the main reason I didn't like it so much was I was like, this is going to stop me from watching it a second time. But I'm starting to wonder if, I won't mind it as much the second time because I know what's going to happen. I'm curious. I am curious because this movie, I'll need to see it a second time before I make my top 10 list because it would be unfair to this movie to not see it a second time. Because this really has a shot at being the best movie of the year to me. You know, for people that like weird, quirky shit, which is me. This movie was great. It was just, I mean, when you're talking about best movie of the year, any one little hiccup can prevent you from being the best movie of the year. So I do need to see it again. I really do. Man, how far away is Voorhees? The funny thing is, no character held any more importance than any other character. Not even Nicolas Cage's character. He had no importance to him, and that's the point. He was just a dude.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point, is like his rise to fame and then descent into the abyss. None of it was consequential. None of it mattered because in the end, other than his accidental cutting off the woman's finger, like he didn't harm anybody. And even that wasn't intentional. It wasn't like something he wanted to do. Her hand was just in the door when he closed it.
Well, that's the thing. Didn't it open in?
Yeah.
So she shut it. She shut it
on herself.
Yeah. She shut it on herself, but then she blamed him.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize that. Yeah. Holy shit.
She had her hand in there and shut it, yeah. And then just blamed him.
Holy shit. Huh? I didn't even notice that. Yeah, so he didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. I mean, he kind of did.
He shouldn't have shown up. He should have definitely stayed away. He shouldn't have shown up.
He shouldn't have gone to meet some 25-year-old in a hotel. No. There's things he did that were questionable, but my point is, he didn't, like, hurt anybody intentionally so. I mean, he didn't even end up having sex with the girl because he farted a couple times and came, and then he went.
Yeah, I can't give him much credit there.
He'd come and go. I don't know.
He got what he needed.
But, like, my point is, like, he wasn't some hero or some villain. He was just a dude, and so was everybody in this movie. Like, they don't even try to villainize the wife. Like, was she cheating on him? Like, it doesn't say one way or the other. Like, is that guy coming to visit? I don't know. Like, they never gave definitive answers on anything.
That was interesting because I thought that was like a sign that they had divorced now, and she was moving on, and then that preceded the dream scene. So
yeah. Because I think they were separated, obviously, because he got the other house. But, like, there's a chance for a redemption there. And we're not saying they are getting back together.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't need to know. We're just like, people.
Yeah. It definitely seems like people are accepting of him in society now because...
They forgot.
I mean, they haven't completely forgot, but it's been out there psyches for a little while.
I think the idea is that, like, people are forgetting. Like, they're over it. Which, once again, social media. Like,
there's always something new.
There's always something to be mad at. And so once you're done being mad at this thing, you're on to the next thing, and you completely forget. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, who's still mad at Shane Dawson? Nobody gives a shit. But when people were mad at him, people were furious. I don't even remember what he did other than joke about, okay, he did blackface. I forgot about that. Yeah. He also did, like, gay stuff, like making fun of gay people, but everybody did that back then. He talked about bestiality. He did a bunch of shit. I don't know why I'm going over the list. But my point is, nobody cares anymore.
No. I mean,
nobody.
If you're famous enough and you handle it right, you can get through any controversy. It's just people don't handle it right.
Not even that. If you are famous on social media and you get canceled, you can just leave and people will forget. Yeah. You can just go back to living a normal life. People will forget.
Eventually, yeah.
Because they don't affect your life at all. They are nothing. They're just a dude somewhere over there. None of it matters. And that's the point. None of it matters. So hug your wife and your kids and stop worrying about being rich and famous because who gives a shit? If you have a life, live it. Don't try and spend your life worrying about what other people think of you and trying to get attention, and it doesn't matter. Watching good movies matters, though, because I remember them and I enjoyed them. I won't forget this movie.
No. Be a little hard to do that. I'll be seeing Nic Cage in my dreams tonight. Hopefully it won't be killing me.
That scene with the pitch meeting at Thoughts. Which, by the way, the imagery of him sitting there and the thoughts racing from his head. Beautiful.
Amazing.
Beautiful. But, and that's part of why I loved the movie so much was all of that, but I'll get back to that. Because Michael Cera, and I don't know the other actress's name, I did check and I already forgot, but, like, their way of, like, being these millennial producer, influencer type people, they nailed the performance. They were so good. And then that scene, so Michael Cera turns around.
Oh gosh,
he's
yeah.
like, let's start this over. And he turns around and you think he's just going to turn right back around and be like, hey, okay. But he, like...
he paused for a good 30 seconds.
It was so painfully long, like, and everybody's uncomfortable, and it cuts to the like angle, and it's just out the window, and you hear a car alarm going off.
I'd like to apologize.
Perfect, so good, loved it. And I've talked before about like how product placement in movies,
Yeah.
when it's noticeable, it's really annoying. There was tons of it, but it's written so well that like it's funnier than it is annoying. Like the whole Sprite thing, I'm not mad at Sprite because it was funny.
No, that was hilarious. They got a whole campaign. They're gonna put a can in him. Maybe Obama will think of him. They got Malia. They got the Malia connection, man. They can make it happen.
What about the Obama thing? The Obama thing's done. Ain't happening. Oh.
We can really use that right now.
Oh man, yeah, I love that. But anyway, so my other point that I was starting to allude to with like the imagery and stuff, that's part of why I didn't like that last section, was because what some of the things that I loved so much about this movie was how it was filmed, all the little quirky things, like I said, him sitting in front of the screen and the thoughts coming up like he's thinking. There was nothing like that in that section until that part where he was getting ready to leave and he was talking to his ex-wife or whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm not leaving for 4 days, and he imagined a little scenario of them hugging and kissing and like being happy to see each other, and then it cuts to her being like, no, I'm good. And that was like the one thing, and then of course that last scene again, but in that whole section it was just like straightforward boring filmmaking, and that was part of why those scenes didn't work for me.
Hey, it may have been straightforward boring filmmaking, but it was perfect social media influencer commercial. All right, they had the whole house and everything.
It was funny.
They had the cast of
something
nondescript age, young, good-looking people.
It was called like Dream House.
Yeah, it was just like the dream influencer, the dream influencers or something like that.
It was not the same movie for about 25 minutes.
It was very
SNL-ish. Not bad SNL, like good SNL, but just not the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like it felt like a different movie. There were no giant horse dicks.
Unfortunately.
That was a great line though. When she was like, "You'll be naked on a horse with a big penis." Well, I have the big penis as the horse. That's what I'm talking about. The comedy was natural. It felt like real conversations, real people interacting. I loved it. And you see in the trailer, and I was a little nervous about this scene because it looked hilarious in the trailer, but I wasn't sure how it was going to fit in. But then he's like, he's got the bottle of wine. He's like, it sounds like goofy. And you're like, why did he do that? But once again, in the scene, in the whole context of the movie, it makes sense. He's this awkward, weird guy that is trying to be funny and
trying to impress everybody.
Yeah. And so he's like, oh, more wine for us. And you're like, that makes sense. He's this out of touch, middle-aged guy that's not funny or really likable in any way. I get it. I understand.
Man, but he is a tenured professor, and he has a doctorate that is higher than that woman's MA. Okay, he shamed her.
He was like, "I've got a PhD. What do you have? A BA?"
MA.
And she's like,
and
MA. It's a really, really, really good movie, and I feel bad about critiquing those parts because the movie as a whole is so phenomenal. But yeah, there's just a couple hiccups in my mind. But once again, maybe on a rewatch, I won't feel that way anymore. I really do like this movie, and I'm excited to rewatch it in a couple weeks or something. I don't know when I'll get around to it, but I know I already said I liked it at the beginning, but the more we've talked about it, the more I like it. And like I said, now having your perspective mixed with my perspective, it makes me want to see it again. And I can only imagine it getting better on a second viewing. I hope it does anyway. I hope that 20 minutes doesn't ruin it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to watch it again sometime.
So that's what we had to think. What did you think, though? Let us know. Also, don't forget to like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Peace.